Hello, I'm the Ultimate Fanboy, and this is my review. I am so glad that it's October because it gives me the perfect opportunity to talk about one of my favourite cartoons of all time, namely Courage the Cowardly Dog. Let's not waste any time, let's jump right into this fantastic cartoon. The premise is as follows. Courage is an easily frightened dog who lives in the middle of nowhere with his oblivious but kind-hearted owner and her surly miser of a husband, Eustace. Being in the middle of nowhere, all sorts of strange goings-on occur, and it's up to Courage to save his owners from the horrors they are subjected to. The story may seem simple, but it leaves the show open to a lot of creative possibilities because of how vague this premise is. The vague plot, coupled with the show's loose sense of logic, means that there are virtually no boundaries. If they wanted to have a cat run a hotel full of giant spiders, they could. If they wanted to have giant space squids, they could. If they wanted to have living eggplants, well, I think you get the picture. The stories could be as nonsensical as they wanted, and I really enjoy that style of storytelling for animated series when it's done right. Thankfully here it is done right, and it has the capacity to tell funny and or chilling stories, as well as really thought-provoking and emotional stories, like Last of the Star Makers. The animation is very exaggerated and cartoony, which you'd expect seeing as it's a cartoon. Pretty much all the humour comes from the animation. The slapstick, the exaggerated facial expressions, and Courage's shape-shifting scenes are responsible for the majority of the comedy, and it's all done really well. But what the animation really excels at is with the horror. Detailed spooky backgrounds, disturbing imagery, creepy character designs. This show is amazing at using animation to make the audience feel unsettled and establish a blood-curdling mood. While fun to watch, the main characters aren't terribly interesting. Eustace is a miserable old bastard who's always complaining and doesn't like Courage. He's an easily hateable character, but he's always gets his comeuppance, so it's not that bad. Muriel is adorable. She's just so sweet and positive. Her clueless nature does get a little annoying at times, but I can't bring myself to hate her in any capacity. Courage may seem one note from the outset. I mean, the show is called Courage the Cowardly Dog. However, that's not the case. Courage is very likable and fleshed out. Yes, he is cowardly, but he's also loyal, extremely kind, and basically a dog. He's also pretty resourceful, always managing to formulate a plan and defeat the villains. That's actually pretty impressive because Courage rarely talks, so they had to present his personality almost entirely using facial expressions and noises, and I really admire that. But anyone who's seen this show knows that the best characters and the best part of the show is the villains. This show is filled with memorable, iconic villains, from returning villains such as Cats, LeQuack, or the Chicken from Outer Space, to one-off villains like Freaky Fred, the King of Flan, or Dr. Jollist. Almost all the villains have something that makes them entertaining to watch, whether they be humorous, spine-chilling, or a mixture of both. The villains really make the show. It's famous for them, and for good reason. I'm probably not going to do this again, but for this review, I've included a segment about the best episode, because I really wanted to talk about this episode, and I can't imagine I get another opportunity to do so. And that episode would be Season 4, Episode 10, Last of the Star Makers. This episode is one of the most heart-wrenching episodes of an animated show that I have ever seen. Even the first minute and 40 seconds of this episode was enough to make me start bawling my eyes out, and I can probably count the cartoon episodes that have managed to make me shed a tear on my fingers. And the emotion isn't just limited to the start. The whole episode manages to pull at your heartstrings without feeling manipulative. This episode is one of the most beautiful and pulchritudinous pieces of animation that I have ever seen. Period. If you are going to check out any episode of the show, then I highly recommend it be Last of the Star Makers. It is amazing from beginning to end. Trust me, you won't be disappointed. Courage the Cowardly Dog has managed to stand the test of time, almost. If you are an animation fan, a horror fan, or just looking for something spooky to pass the time, or all of the above, then you should definitely check out this show. It may not look like much, but this show is truly special in my eyes, and it will always have a place in my heart. I hope you enjoyed my review of Courage the Cowardly Dog. Once again, do check it out. It's an outstanding show. Comment below what other spooky things you want me to review this October. And the more obscure the better, because I want to bring more attention to the lesser known stuff. Anyway, I will see you on my next video. Peace out.
There are things that go bump in the night. They can get you, but such things your average man cannot perceive. There are worlds unknown, apart from flesh and bone, but such things the human mind cannot conceive. But there are beings that surround us, but it's so hard to believe in what goes beyond what the naked eye can see. It's paranormal, esoteric, electromagnetic, the good, the bad, the sad behind the veil. So many stories of strange happenings. Do you believe in ghosts? Can a dead man, after all, tell his tale? Angels and demons, ghosts and goblins in the light, silver discs that fly for all little green men. Apparitions, superstitions, contact from the other side, special spirits stirring in the wind.